and senior.
I'm Samantha. I am a junior in WSM.
I'm on my night job, the minor.
which is
So-
also a perspective that we should talk
that's why
about.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm a junior, yeah.
Because, yeah, that's the thing, not everyone finishes the minor. Also, I guess worth noting is they generally accept around like 18 applications every year. I think that's the number. So, yeah. Do you guys have any questions right off the bat, or should I ask the group? Yes,
I'm coming with a couple questions.
okay,
that I really wanted to ask.
awesome,
So
go for it.
when I'm a sophomore, second semester, obviously. And I'm in drama 120 now.
Mhm.
Would that just mean if I got in, I wouldn't have to take it?
You're all
That
good to
doesn't
go.
change anything in the application process?
Yeah, that wouldn't do anything for, yeah, I think there were some people who did that actually.
Second question, this is something I've heard from other people who applied, is that when you submit your writing sample, apparently they just don't accept comedies. Apparently that's something, however,
Is that true?
Yeah, don't worry.
however, the caveat to that is I was in Professor Cohen's writing short films class last semester. And we had worked on a couple short film screenplays, and he suggested I submit one from that class. However, the one he suggested I wrote was like a comedy drama sort of thing.
Mhm.
So now I'm conflicted because I don't want to submit it and then have them be like, this is a comedy, I don't want this. But then if he also suggested I submit that one. He's the
What
head of
did-
the program. So
I don't
was
want to just talk, so do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Were you in one of the information meetings?
I came from the one that was like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
And
ask them
yeah.
because that's not really like, I didn't know if that was an appropriate question to ask them if they accept comedies or not.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like they will be like, they're not gonna outright reject you just because you wrote comedy, like, they'll still read it and read your application. But like, they really would like to see like dramatic writing, but you said it's a comedy drama, so like,
There's like dramatic, I mean, but it's a lot of comedy as well.
yeah, I don't know.
I think Cohen said to submit it. I feel like it's good.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, the people who review the applications are Dana and Mike. So if Dana recommended, that's probably a good writing sample. Oh, also, I forgot to throw this out there, but I mean, not that, it's gonna make it sound like we're super qualified, we're not. But if you have a writing sample and you're like, man, I really want an extra pair of eyes on this, we're totally down to review materials and stuff. Or I am. I don't know if I'm gonna volunteer to hold group, but I love looking at other people's stuff and editing. So if you guys want to run writing samples before submitting them, I'm here. Yes.
I have just like.
Mhm.
I just got off the writing sample, question here, Abby. Is it okay if I ask like former and current members, what did you guys submit when you applied?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question because I think people submitted different things. So Anna, what did you submit?
Yeah, it's a sort of national realism thing with like time. And I wrote it, so.
And what, can you say also like include what form it is?
What form, okay, yeah, I chose the 25 page, like the first 25 pages of it. I wrote a short film that I actually used for a different class. So I just submitted that, but it was, I don't remember what I submitted. It was like an action piece and it was like 10 pages.
I wrote a 3-page short story on the downfall of Hollywood.
I wrote a 7-page short story that was very, very emotional and dramatic. I read it today in class. Right.
It was pretty emotional. Sam?
I wrote a 5-page short film that I submitted to CFA my freshman.
Yeah, I did something similar. I used one of the short films I submitted to CFA that year. It was like a 12-page and it was kind of like, I don't know, a romance, I guess, is marriage material. So, yeah. Yeah, so you can submit, and by the way, also disclaimer, again, I think also something I want to emphasize is a lot of people do take screenwriting courses before getting to WSS. I didn't. I personally came into UNC as like, well, first of all, I was pre-med, that was a mistake. But like before that, I also I'm also an English major with a creative writing minor. So I was totally in like fiction and prose, and that's what I was doing. So I had never taken a screenwriting course, and you don't have to like join the minor. They just want to see that like, you would know how to tell a story, and that a creative writing professor like, would recommend you. Yes.
I have a question from the chat.
Yes.
So does the recommendation letter need to be specifically from the professor who taught the prereq course? Or would another writing professor work, specifically thinking about if an intermediate creative writing professor would work versus intro?
Yes, it does not, my mistake. It has to be from a creative writing instructor, not from the prereq. I used my intermediate fiction writing course, which was not one of the prereqs, so.
I'm an ad PR major in the Husband School, and I straight up used like the advertising class, like someone recommended me.
Yeah.
Because it was like a storytelling for that department. Yeah.
I did so many plays at camp counselor from high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Do with that what you will.
So I will admit I have more of an interest in like TV writing currently, but I'm still like, as someone who learned more about writing for feature films and how to cross it off the table. Would you recommend this for the time?
I guess we can all share. You wanna go?
I was gonna say, I came in thinking I wanted to do television. And I don't anymore. So it's worth a try.
I think I still want to do television, but I think you can learn a lot from like writing feature film. I wouldn't say it like wasn't helpful or discouraged me at all from like working.
Yeah, there's a couple of people in the minor who are more oriented towards television. Hi, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry. Well, I'm gonna try to get time to walk home and then make dinner for the parking spot in time of the dinner. I'm Joseph. I'm a senior. I'm in the program.
Yes,
I don't know what else am I supposed to say. Hey.
that's it. That's it. We were just asked,
Awesome.
we actually just got a question. I don't know if this is pertinent to you, because if I'm being honest, I don't remember if you want to write in TV or film, JoJo. So you let me, you know?
I want to make money.
Yeah, that's another good perspective.
Probably TV, but
Yeah, because I was gonna say there are definitely people who are oriented towards television in the minor and still found it useful. And also, again, worth noting, I don't know who the new professor would be, but Dana was a television writer and he wrote for Bones. Yes, Jag and Bones for a while, which were two like pretty popular CW shows. So that's something. And Mike has written, he has written a lot, but most of them are rewrites, so his name isn't generally attached to them, but then a couple of them are his own films. He even produced and directed his own independent film, so yeah.
it's a good
No,
movie.
it's just, they're intimate, they're just sexy. Yeah.
Oh, and he stars in it, yeah.
If I did, it would be fine if he wasn't our professor.
Yes. So, yeah. Yeah, any more questions, or we're gonna move to like more, I had a couple of questions to ask y'all, just, yes,
I follow my question about the submitting thing.
yes.
So I actually had a couple options in the class.
Mhm.
And one of them was 5-page forward dramatic. And then the only reason why I wanted to submit the county one was because that was like 14 pages, because that's the longest one we did. But if I just do the second, you don't, I would rather submit the 4 one then, since that's, I feel like that's more dramatic and honestly better written. But if you don't think 5 pages is too short.
Yeah, you wanna go?
Yeah, I feel like the shorter it is, the more time, or not the more time you should put into it, but like, I feel like because mine was 25 pages and I just like simply like kept on going. I can tell you that wasn't like the best thing I've ever written, but just because I made it work, I feel like if you have something smaller, you just have to take care of the details more because it is, like less content to go over. If that's helpful.
Yeah. Sam, didn't you say yours was 3 pages?
Mine was 5
Yeah.
pages.
So I personally would say yeah, I agree that I think shorter is probably a little riskier, but I also think that it's just worth going with whatever you think is the strongest piece. Because again, at the end of the day, we had a lot of variation, like Honor wrote 25 pages, Sam wrote 3. Was
I wrote 60. It was a one-act play.
was
You
yours,
turned a whole one-act play, so I had a 60-page one play.
was yours a comedy perchance? Okay, dispel the myth, because
Okay,
he
well,
heard,
never mind, I don't know anymore. My whole
yeah,
life, I have no thoughts.
because he heard apparently that comedies just don't get in.
That's partial, the thing that they teach in the minor, though you'll hear this a million times, is that like comedy still has to be inherently dramatic. And
Uh-huh.
so what you wanna do, if you're submitting a comedy, make
It
sure,
has dramatic elements.
not just dramatic, like it needs to, like, as long as, it can't be a sketch, right? It can't be an SNL sketch, like you have to have your beginning, middle, and end. And have like your dramatic beats, even if it's still funny, would be what I'd say. But submit whatever you think has your like whatever piece you think is strongest and best represents your like voice and style as a writer.
I don't even know anymore.
If the 5-page form was what you're really interested in, I would maybe revisit it or rewrite it from memory or like whatever you want to attempt to do.
And have someone read it, like have the second.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Someone to read it. I had like several people in the minor who was in classes read my like short story before I turned it in, like edited it. So like definitely like get a second pair of eyes on it.
Is there a way I could submit the both of them to a couple of you guys, or if you want? to,
Sure.
You guys want to read them?
Yeah, let's talk about it right now. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I should have put this on the slide. I was gonna put my info on there. And I mean, whoever wants to, I could drop your info, it's like in the chat. And you guys could text and email any of us. I mean, as long as you guys are willing. I'm trying not to volunteer like 6 people out, but I definitely would be willing to read, and if any of the other guys would, absolutely.
It makes you feel better too. I had literally 0 people look at it before I submitted it, so you don't feel like you need to have other people look at it. Just
I'm
if you-
not too concerned, since in the class, we had to workshop them pretty heavily.
Mhm.
So they've already been seen over by a bunch of eyes. I want to get some eyes from somebody that's in the program, like I have to. Sure.
Sure, that's right.
So just a note,
Okay,
if
no,
you're a freshman, you should apply.
yeah, if you're a freshman, you should apply. I applied as a freshman.
Well, you went straight into it, but like they accepted me early as a freshman and then I got to start my sophomore year. It was just like a deferred acceptance.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
lot of stress for you if you're a freshman, like you don't have to worry about it.
You also apply like
Again.
Yeah.
So it's something worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Or add 2 more.
Yeah, well, don't, this is exactly what this is for.
Yeah.
Ask as many questions as you want.
This is out of pure curiosity, but do they allow like you to write for like animated movies, or that technically considered like fantasy?
I'm sorry.
Go.
I was just saying that you just kind of have to talk to them and you can convince. Yeah, well, I guess it's not gonna be Dana, but Dana at least was like, if you can convince me on it, you can do it, but he wasn't sure about it. It just-
Yeah.
Tell them that it's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, I think he essentially said along the lines, you have to meet with him and talk about it, and I think the animation has to be somewhat integral to like the plot, basically, so like if you can convince him that you don't want to make it animated just because it would look prettier, which I understand, and I think that should be a reason we can do it, but he doesn't, so if you're like, I think it'd be animated because, you know, then we could do like these stunts, or this character design is really integral. If you give him a reason, I could see him being more swayed, but again, we're also talking about Dana, who's not gonna be here. So
Also, not easily swayed.
also not
I
easy.
want to say his
Also-
rules are loose, his opinions are strong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
The thing I would say with animated also in general, so I thought about it for a little bit. I think especially in your first semester in the program, I just like write live action stuff just to learn how to do it. And then it'll also just make the flow of the class a lot easier. And then if by the second semester, once you're pitching your feature, if you are like set in stone on that animated feature, then yeah, fight for it for sure.
go for it.
But I would not try to write any of your like short screenplays as animated.
No,
So,
we're gonna do that. Yeah, Anna, were you gonna say something? I also wanted to say, not that I'm advertising you do this, but I would say that me and another person in our class, I was gonna talk about Clark, kind of ended up putting fantasy stuff in our scripts anyway. We just like called it something else. Also, we didn't include it as our original pitch. And then it just slipped its way into our script. So if you're kind of sneaky about it, because my whole script is like, it's a dramatic thing, but then I slip in elements of magical realism, and that's what I call it. And then Clark's is like a horror, but also there's a dragon in it that didn't initially exist. So I'm just saying that there's ways to get it in there. It's just that if you go right off the bat and pitch it as a fantasy, he's probably not gonna accept the script.
Also, Mike is like way more willing to work
Chill,
with you
yeah.
on what you want to do. So like if you want to make it animated and you pitch it to Dana and you don't mention it and like next to that straight, like I really, really want to do this, like Mike is a lot more.
Oh, yeah, we've had people do like complete genre changes.
Yeah.
It's almost a story shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Jimmy's doing.
Yeah, so there is that. I don't know. Hey, I don't.
Yes, there's a question. How hard is it to get into the Hollywood internship?
That's yeah. Well, you think that's a different session? I mean, we could talk about it. Because again, we're all in it.
Yeah.
It's a
You
magic,
got 23 minutes. to talk about it.
it's a magic
Talk about
hat as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. So how many of us are in here? The 5 of us who are graduating seniors in this room are in HIP. That does not mean that everyone in WSS is in HIP. That's not true. Just putting that out there that's like 5 out of the original 18 of us. And I think there's a couple more who are in HIP, they're just not here. So what I'm throwing out there is like, take our opinions with a grain of salt on this one, because we're not gonna like, represent the whole applicant pool, but it's kind of hard to say, because I'd say that between the 5 of us, we all have really varying experience and in a lot, because like I for one am not a comm major.
No, finish your thoughts. And then I'll
Okay.
back.
I'm not a comm major, but I was pretty active with like CFA and stuff. And then these lovely people out here are comm majors. Well, not just. What I'm saying is I can't I don't know how to say how hard it is. You just have to go in with a strong application, and that can mean a lot of things.
I am not a hip person, but I sure know a lot of people who did it last year. So I feel like I can add something to this
Yeah.
conversation. Something that they all kind of said was like, it doesn't like, I don't want to be like mean, but they were like, sometimes like there are enough spots that sometimes I don't think it's I don't think it's
I don't
that
think I would say that this year.
really.
I think there
Is
were
it
more
this year?
applicants.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's very, I mean, yeah,
I
I'd
think they picked less people this year too than
Really?
last year.
Yeah, they took, because here's the thing with HIP is that they got a new program head this year.
oh, that's right, my bad.
Yeah, I say
I don't
the
know.
thing, no, but I think that's a good point is HIP, has changed leadership. And it might, again, like, it's kind of hard for us to say like from here, like 2 years out. Because it has changed, I'd say, essentially like HIP. Should we talk about the application process? Is this relevant? I think it is relevant,
I think
but
it's worth noting that most of the students in HIP are WSS.
most?
Yeah.
Oh, most of the kids in HIP are WSS
Like,
this
it's
year.
like 8 out of 18 kind of.
Well, not most,
Okay.
but
Well,
It's
the
okay,
WSS
I'm sorry,
like
it's
the-
slightly less than most, or it's close, whatever it is.
Um,
like
Well,
9
there's
out of 18.
WSS and then comm majors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a tiny portion of the other, but it's
it
all-
is, yeah, that's
Or
true.
It's either like they did WSS, they did CFA, or there's one girl that was just like a content creator that's like in there as well. I think the rest is kind of concentrated in that area though.
Yes, Amani.
I will say, I talked with Professor Acosta about this application process, and he couldn't even really give me a straight answer.
Yeah, it's real up in the air. It's honestly, I mean, I don't want to say up in the air, like, I'm not trying to discount like the people who did get in and just be like, oh, we got in for fun, you know, or like we got in on a chance, like we all have experience and stuff. But I also know people who have experience who I was like, wow, I can't believe you didn't get in. And I think that's also worth noting. So also, if you apply for HIP and don't get in, I think that says absolutely nothing about your value as a production member slash writer slash whatever you're trying to go into. Because HIP is also worth noting, HIP is not just for writers. Like two of the people who are with us right now, they're here as WSS members, but they're actually not in HIP as writers primarily. If you guys actually, yeah, I was gonna ask that as a question. If you guys want to talk about like being in WSS, but not necessarily like going to LA as a writer, if you guys want to talk about that experience. Well, MG and Taylor,
Why?
because you're in casting.
No.
Okay, fine. MG is in producing.
Yeah, so
I
I
have a question.
have, oh, yeah, keep going.
I have another question for the chat. What years are you able to apply for the HIP?
Senior,
Just senior year.
No, junior and senior, they're gonna start again, I think.
they're gonna start
They only
again.
did that this year.
That's silly.
I don't know unless they're keeping it that way.
Okay,
But most of the
so
time, applies like junior, you, like, won't get
it
it.
is
You
silly.
basically will get it if you will only get it if you're a senior. It's rare that.
Like, juniors don't get it.
Like, if you
Yeah.
show interest as a junior.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in years
yep.
prior, you could apply as a junior.
And you're trying to apply to anything, you could apply at any time.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Years prior are like.
They don't know.
So if you can apply, do it. You probably won't get it if you're a senior, unless you're a senior, like Joseph said.
Okay, I have another question. I have two actually, they're piling up. All right, just in general, how would you describe the workload of the minor and the practicality of pursuing two other majors in addition to the minor?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm a double major and double minor, so I can go ahead and tell you it's a lot. Yeah, I know, I get special permission, because the minor is more classes than any other minor. Like, I'm also a history minor, and that was 5 classes, and this one's, it's also 5.
This is
Just kidding,
5.
It's also 5, it
It's
feels like way more.
5, but
It's
then they
5.
push electives really
Yeah.
hard. And you
Also,
should take it.
yeah, if you, like, writing 15 pages every other week doesn't seem too bad if you're not doing anything else. But if you have like organizations and internships and clubs and other stuff to do and like a heavy workload, it does like get overwhelming. So like managing that, it's just, I would say it's a lot more work than like not only like workload, but like mentally, it's a lot of more work than like other classes you would think. I didn't even know it's 5, well, it was like 10 classes.
Yes, I'm.
Also, I think it's important to know, I don't know if this is like an official rule, but like recently I found out they're no longer letting people do the creative writing seniors honor thesis.
Oh, that's
at the
always been a
same
thing.
time. That's always been a thing. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do the creative writing honors thesis and the writing for the screen.
Yeah, I found that out and I was really, really bummed about it because again, I'm afraid because it's too much work. So, yeah.
Okay, is the application process for HIP long?
It's a res-
No.
Don't tell them. Okay, so. No, it's basically an application portal and you do, I mean, you have to get cover letters or no. You have to write a personal statement. You have to list people that can recommend you. They don't have to write a letter of recommendation.
It's a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Which
reference.
they don't got that.
There is a word for that. Thank you.
There's no.
And there's also,
Oh, give them a heads up before you put them as a reference.
Yeah.
yeah, give your professors a heads up. That's just a rule in general. Don't put people down for references if they don't know that. Nice Taylor. And then also your resume, and then a couple questions that'll be those,
They're short answers.
they're short answer. They'll ask like, what comm classes have you taken? Can you pay for this program?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, what do you specifically want to do? By the way, heads up about that question in particular. When you're applying for HIP, even if you are like, yeah, I could see myself as a writer or a director or casting, don't say that. Choose one and stick to it because they will just think that you're scatterbrained, even if you're just passionate and driven and are good at things. Don't let them know that. Say that you're focused.
Or
It's
you
also,
could
it's
put-
also just gonna be a single summer internship, and so
Yeah.
if you discover that, you put writing, you discover you fucking hate writing internships, then you've learned that, and you have one on paper belt that you can put on your resume to apply for other stuff.
Yeah,
And then you're in LA.
and you're in LA. Yeah, a lot of people just use, if not use, but like, that was gonna come out bad. I'm gonna say it anyway. HIP is kind of an LA pipeline, because you know what? The thing is, there's a lot of, I'd say like, sometimes HIP gets a bad rep because, sometimes they're not the best at communication, things like that. But also, it's really hard to get a job in LA. So that's the thing. That's kind of the main pull of HIP. Yes, Claire,
I
go.
just want to add, don't necessarily stop talking about the hip, keep asking questions. But if people are interested, we are planning on having a workshop where I'm gonna make those people, let me be more clear. We're gonna do a workshop where I ask very nicely for people who did the hip in past years to come on a Zoom call and talk about their experience and where they are now, because a lot of them stay in LA and they all are working in the industry now. And
Yes,
just a thought,
nope, that's good to
keep
know.
talking about it, but like, that's another thing. to
Yes,
know.
no, that's super good to know, because that would be really useful, and you're gonna know way more than we do right now, because we're still here.
We're still.
Yeah, we
If
are.
you are somebody who likes certainty,
No.
maybe don't do it.
Yeah, yeah, but I
We're
will,
not gonna know till-
I will say as a counter, if you're someone who likes certainty, LA might not. be
Yeah,
for
this
you.
industry.
Yeah.
That's true. If you're really like
You shouldn't be
certainty,
here.
do not
Yeah.
do it.
Yes.
So, I guess you're going off the list, so you guys have to do that after this summer. So what kind of preparation have you guys been having to do?
For
It's
the,
like
for the
everyone's-
city or for the
Yeah,
job?
Oh, so,
I've been researching how to get a car there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
a
can't
lot of
drive
us have been trying to get money, and
Yeah.
it's hard. I will caution you right now, like, I know that's, not something that people like to talk about, but they basically said, hey, can you pay for this? And some of us were like, yeah, especially and some of us were like, no, but if you give us money, and they're like, yeah. And thus far, no money.
No.
Well, I even sent them an email, and was like, hey, I really want to, what's the word on my grants and or scholarship and or aid? And they said, you'll find out in April, and I'm like, that's awesome, I need to, but you want me to accept in 2 days, so. Blindly into it. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
And you can always drop it, they really can't stop you, they don't
Yeah.
want you to drop it, don't tell them you're gonna drop it, but you can't drop it.
What was that number again?
6,000.
It's basically like you're taking more classes.
That's
From-
everything.
That's like
That's
living.
living,
Okay, that-
food, gas.
Where's
like
that number
everything.
coming from?
From the Zoom info
session. Spreadsheet. It
I
can be
promise,
cheaper
I
than
promise I didn't invent the number.
It's actually more like 3 for the program itself, or 2 for the program itself. It's like, that's the
Yeah.
tuition. and
Yeah,
then
so
the-
that's- Like 2,
Don't quote me on that,
or-
2 or 3.
oh my gosh, I don't know.
But it's mostly they
It's a
factor in like
free
living
class.
there and
I-
expenses.
$750 a class.
It might be more out of state, that's something like.
It definitely is,
But I don't know that for
definitely
sure.
is, definitely is.
Definitely, yeah,
Cool,
this is,
awesome, great, I wasn't sure if that was, if they charge out of state for money to go that way.
That's why
Sorry,
you're in.
unfortunately
That's okay.
it is.
yeah,
Cool, so yeah,
it's,
it's like
Yeah.
8-ish for me, I think 8 somewhere between 8 and 6.
oh
Really
my
awesome.
God. Sorry.
I would say, just like, I like reached out to someone who did the program last year, so just like talking to someone about their experience, like they don't expect you with the HIP, like, the great thing about HIP is they don't expect you to have all these like internship experiences, they know that we don't go to UCLA and USC and NYU, so they don't expect you to have this like long list of I work at Disney and this and that, so,
They understand like CFA is a
yeah,
huge, real thing.
like anything you do, you're passionate about.
CFA and SCV.
And
Yeah.
SCV. And they liked that I did false profits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, which is
Yeah.
an improper, yeah,
Yeah.
just like anything that shows that you're interested, like within this industry, can be comedy, writing.
Community too in general.
Yeah.
Just that you do things.
Yeah, just
that you're passionate
just
about it,
do
and then you
things.
Are trying to like do what you can with what you
It's
have.
really vague advice.
I know,
for
I
you.
know. it's-
Yeah, I will also
No, but
say,
it's-
for,
Yeah.
um,
no, it is.
Like, I don't know.
also notably, if you're like, I don't do a lot of things, but I have a really sick reel, they won't watch that. They don't have they say don't put your reel on your resume, like they say explicitly, remove that link. So if that's what you're banking on, don't. Just a note. They will ask for a writing sample if you apply for writing.
Yeah.
So I think
I've been for producing, they still ask for script coverage and a writing sample.
for coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Also, a good thing to note, I think about WSS in general, aside from writing like a feature length film, every once in a while, we did learn a practical skill,
Yeah.
like script coverage.
Like feature film is
I mean,
Stuff that they would ask interns to do.
yeah,
Oh, who asked about, I was a minute ago, but who asked about the workload?
oh yeah, we should revisit that, because I don't think we talked about it enough.
It's not, okay. I think MG said it, if it was the only thing you're doing, it'd be like great and blissful. For me, it was like, I have 15 pages due, once every 2 weeks, I have to turn in 15 pages. Really manageable to do, it's like you can do a page a day, and that'd be great. I don't do that, I end up writing 15 pages the night before, and it's really stressful and awful. Because that's the type of person that I am, and it sucks. You can space it out, it's like doable, but yeah, I don't know, some days will be more fun than others. It's hard to do. The trickiest thing is that like assigning creative work on a deadline, which is the industry in a whole, but like creativity on a deadline just sucks in general. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's really hard.
It's, I don't know.
I will say the pro about being in a cohort that's like pretty relatively small, is like you get pretty close pretty quickly, and that's like the
Yeah.
only reason why I was gonna keep the minor. I still love you guys a lot. It just didn't work out, but like you have other people that can also, I mean, they can't really help you out, you can vent with those people, and that's like very helpful.
Oh
In
yeah,
terms of managing stress. but
our
it's,
group me kept us afloat.
We were the first online.
Yeah.
WSS,
Oh yeah, another thing to take with a grain of salt, we were online, like coming into the cohort.
Yeah.
So we were online for like a year before we saw each other in person, basically. I mean, we saw each other in person, like, but not for class. That was the, don't say that.
No.
No,
It's
I had
I-
them offline.
Hmm?
We had them offline. We did way stricter offline.
Damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
That makes
Okay,
sense.
that's,
Like,
I
if
thought
it
you
wasn't
meant the
printed
program
on
itself
your
was
desk-
better.
I was like, no.
I was gonna throw it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't printed on
You
your
were
desk
talking
after time class started, did not take it. And as you know, now it's very.
Yeah.
But
Now,
I
just
I'm
have
just
some-
saying, it's kind of soft. in retirement.
Yeah, I had Cohen, like last semester.
Oh,
it's really good.
I will agree that he has
Yeah.
very strong opinions about what we should do with your scripts and what changes we should make. I will say that.
I think Cohen is incredibly intelligent, and that's, also the thing is he teaches, he's on Instagram, so it doesn't actually matter, so never mind.
yeah, he is retiring. Well,
No, he's been monitoring me.
That's me.
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I'm writing
that's,
everything you're
like
saying, because I don't know if I can hear you guys. Just the mics are
That's
on.
fair.
yeah,
So,
thank you, Evan.
He's so smart.
I can kind of give my spiel about not wanting to write and being in the
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
minor. Because, so I've always known I want to produce and do development. I don't, I feel like I'm not sure. So the writing minor at first, there was like a point where I was definitely gonna drop because I didn't want to write, and it's literally just writing minus one semester where you do like a little more organizational based stuff, which was my favorite one, but no one else liked it. But I will say, everything I've learned is like so incredibly crucial to development and producing. So if you want to do like directing, I would say it might be a little different, but if you want to do producing or development or work with writers at any point, like this is a very helpful minor, because especially like as far as script coverage and just being able to like read scripts and being able to give feedback and being able to tell what's a quality script and what's not. I found that like with internships I have right now, I don't write, but I literally look at a script like every day. So being able to just be familiar with that, even though it's pretty shitty to come in and do basically 2 years of stuff that you necessarily don't want to do, I think it pays off in the long run.
Yeah.
And then you have like a unique perspective of, hey, I did this writing program, but I don't want to write, but it was super fundamental, and like, here's why. And people like actually are pretty receptive to that.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, because I should, disclaimer for what I said earlier, my bad, I should have worded it better. I'm not trying to dissuade y'all if like writing is not your primary interest. No, I'm not saying don't apply, I'm just saying that generally, the way that the professors will approach the class will be just assuming that you want to write, whether you want to or not. They'll say things, I love them, but they get a little dramatic. They're like, the writers are the most neglected role in Hollywood, which I mean, I don't know, maybe that's true, but they'll talk about that a lot. They'll talk about that a lot. They'll talk about like how much writers make. They'll talk about the industry from a writer's perspective, but yes, absolutely, writing can definitely be really useful for like other aspects of production. And also definitely just like get used to reading scripts, because you're gonna have to, and you're gonna have to know how to like format them and stuff. So that's also important.
It also just helps with like industry knowledge and like being able to take criticism and feedback and also being able to like give your own thoughts. Because those are super helpful. And I will say too, like I enjoy writing. If you don't like writing at all, I want to do this. I just don't want to make a career out of it. So if you hate it, maybe don't do it.
Yeah, if you hate it with a passion, super, don't do this minor.
Also, I am sure this point has already been made, and I would really doubt that it's will be a thing that anyone cares about, but it's very much the writing for like the screen
Yeah,
and stage minor. And so if you want to write, like do it, but you'll write like a 10-page one and then pretend the plays don't exist for the rest of it.
yes.
That's just the theater kids' input.
No, that's not,
Yeah.
we did talk about that, and it's true.
Yeah.
We really don't talk about playwriting past the first semester.
I don't know why they're together even.
I think
So
to
the
make
minor
it sound
feels better,
fancier.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I like, they also like throw you into stuff, like, they're pretty nice about like feedback, but like the first semester, you're like I've never written a play, I don't want to do plays, I hate theater, no offense, Jojo.
No, it's fine.
So like, they literally were like, here you go, write a play, like, and they'll do that with screenwriting too. So just be prepared to be like thrown in and kind of take everything while you can.
Yeah, that's right. Also to touch on that, you brought up workshops. That can be an interesting experience if you're not used to being workshopped all the time. Just know that you're gonna be workshopped all the time in front of everyone and have your words read out loud, which can be slightly nerve-wracking. I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything to that. Yes, Taylor?
If you can't take constructive criticism now, you will be by the time you leave.
That's true. Yeah.
And if you're someone who's like, no, I absolutely cannot take criticism on my writing, don't even apply.
Yeah.
Get this started a little bit.
You go down.
Well, I know, truly, I think that's one of the reasons that you need to like,
Yeah.
I'm not like you need to, but like become buddies with everyone pretty quick, so that it doesn't feel like strangers are paying you back, it's like your friends. who
Yeah, no one's,
Understand you and your writing, yeah.
yeah, workshopping's never personal. At least I never really felt like that from anyone. Like, I don't think anyone ever was like, these are personal attacks. And I'm like, I'm
Oh,
not.
no, I just meant that like it's.
Yeah.
That was I don't really know my 3 years ago, but now my and her friends, and she gives me feedback, I'm like, oh, this is a useful note, and I know my style is, or like, this and this.
Yeah, that's true. You will also get to know each other's styles like super well. Yeah, which is fun. Anybody have any questions? Because we're about to hit time pretty much. Oh, Anna.
Something, well, not a question, but something real quick, as someone who dropped it, here's like a picture of why you should apply still. If you're not in the communications major, this is super helpful because it like gives you access to a lot of other cool classes, like the electives are really cool in terms of like storytelling and the like. And also, I mean, obviously don't say this in your application, but like you can take, it's of course really what you make of it, and if you just need a few things, take it for that and then just drop it, you know, like it's not a big deal. Now, it's probably better if you don't drop it, you won't get the whole experience, but like, I don't regret my decision of dropping it, and like, it was cool.
Yeah. We had a couple people drop. From what I understand, that's just what happens every year. So if you get in this minor and you're like, I hate it, don't stress about wanting to drop. Like, people do that. The minor's not for everyone. Even the people who are still in the minor, a lot of us are like, wow, That was really hard. I really didn't- I don't know why we did that fully, if
It
I'm being
shouldn't make
honest.
you hate writing.
Yes,
You should just hate the workload. If it's any more than that.
absolutely.
Yeah, just, we have, will information to like emails for you guys be available anywhere?
Yeah, should I put them in the CFA group chat or here?
Oh,
I'm
Here.
not on the Zoom, I can get on.
I was gonna say chalkboard.
I can do that. If you guys want to come up and do that too, but yeah, are there any more questions while I do this?
Would it be better to put it in the
Yeah, we're
CFA
gonna
group
just
chat?
drop your notes in group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we just give them
Yeah,
all
I
to like,
like to see that. You can also just DM on GroupMe. That's.
Yeah,
we can just put our names in the group chat like.
I'm why. I do have a pretty recognizable last name, so I'll stop.
Just everybody copy like,
Yeah.
chat if you feel like it.
What if like, can we just like collect them all and then like in one post, but like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is everybody- is everybody-
Yeah, we can do that ourselves though. We don't have to.
Yeah.
But you know Maya.
Is that for the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We all good to go? Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,